today has more media and more messages than ever before. The explosion of the internet, along with continued growth in TV, radio, and print, have led to a message-filled world and message-savvy consumers. How can advertisers best utilize all this media in a creative way in terms of the client and the consumer?
In order to really connect with the consumer, you need to really understand who that consumer is. They enjoy watching great commercials. And so today it's harder to reach them, and you have to find unique entry points into getting into their psyche.
And once we understand those things, then we can begin to turn to the creative area and create the kind of advertising that is fresh and awakening and persuasive.
There are many media outlets available for the products that compete for consumers' attention. How are agencies reacting to this proliferation of media?
In the past, what's happened is you worked in 2 or 3 media. Now the pressure is to work in many media.
The proliferation of media has simply created a lot more opportunity and a lot more necessity for advertisers to connect to that consumer in a consistent way so they can build the brand.
Marketing, sales, and public relations are specialized disciplines. Advertising agencies are called upon to help their clients in these areas more and more often.
When you sell a product that is an invisible thing, it's the magic of ideas, you need to have relationships that extend into partnerships where there is a tremendous amount of trust and where there is an absolute lockstep point of view, philosophical agreement on the criticality of terrific creative ideas and an understanding of the power of those ideas in building a brand. So the only kind of relationship that works, I believe, in producing that kind of original, fresh, inventive advertising is a partnership.
Launching a new brand into a mature market can be a daunting task. How can you launch a new product and give it personality and staying power?
Who would have thought to take Shakespeare, which is so representative of all the things that a brand like Lexus might stand for, intelligence, almost a sense of poetry and motion, and then take it and find that wonderful phrase, something wicked this way comes, which puts a whole new face, paints a whole new portrait about the brand.
You reinvent yourself. You don't stray away from your positioning, but you present a new face with new products. You then present products in a fresh new way to let them experience it in a new way, in a way they haven't experienced, because they have this picture of you that they've developed, a snapshot, a Polaroid of the last 8 years. You change that picture, you reinvent yourself, you get into their consciousness, you get on the radar screen.
This is Alice Cease reporting for the Executive Forum. Another facet of ecological balance pairs that of man and nature. Executive Forum recently visited the Florida Everglades National Park, which just celebrated its 50th anniversary. There, we discussed the delicate balance between growth and preservation with several key experts on the matter and found that so far the story is playing itself out to near perfection.
The area known as the Florida Everglades is recognized by the United Nations as one of the world's great ecological treasures, but it's also considered by many to be one of this nation's most imperiled ecosystems. Despite the raw vitality of its watery landscape, the park, which is 1.5 million acres in size, is a fragile place, a sensitive place, and the monumental uphill battle to save it may prove to be one of the most rewarding and significant assignments for any of those involved. Now, with me today to talk about all of this is Ronald H. Jenkins, Chairman of the Board of WEI Environmental Services, which is a company dedicated to the fight to save the Everglades. Many things have contributed to the dangers to the Everglades National Park, but to what extent do you blame, let's call it the ignorance of man, and to what extent do you blame nature?
When South Florida was settled back at the turn of the century, we certainly didn't have the science and technology and the tools that we have today to understand the effect on our environment. But in fact, South Florida was carved out of the Everglades. The area that you're sitting on right now was at one time part of the Everglades. And there would be no South Florida community as we know it today if part of the Everglades hadn't been sacrificed to make that possible. What we're realizing is, as a business community, that life as we know it, the quality of life as we know it in South Florida, can't be sustained unless we preserve, and not only preserve the Everglades in the state it is now, but go back and restore the Everglades to the extent that we need to ensure our fresh water supply in the future.
About the restoration of the Everglades, how important is it to the business community to set up, in effect, what we'd call it a partnership with the environmental community? And who ultimately is paying the bill?
Well, ultimately it will be the users of that fresh water and the taxpayers of this community who pay the bill. That's why it's important that the business community act to build consensus through the broader community that restoration and preservation are essential so that the entire community can get behind these efforts.
With the attention and support of the Clinton administration, the state governor, and the entire business community, the restoration of the Florida Everglades is finally underway. But how does a community organize a task of such mammoth proportions?
We're looking at a lot of these issues regionally. In fact, I have recently been convening regional meetings on these issues. For many, many years in this county, the preferred method of growth was by expanding what's called our urban development line into the Everglades. In 7 years that I've been with county government, the urban development boundary has never been expanded.
At the same time, we're trying to stop the sprawl into the Everglades, at the conversion of land into the Everglades. We're trying to provide appropriate alternatives for that development and ensure in our planning that we separate those from the buffered areas we need to protect the natural system. This is the largest environmental restoration project in the world that's ever been attempted, and it is in a region that has one of the greatest population increases in the world. So we think that this is a project that can, if successful, establish a model that can be emulated around the world.
Whether or not this army of scientists, politicians, community leaders, and citizens is able to set the new standard for harmony between man and nature, there is one thing for certain. Every one of them is going to give it their all. For Executive Forum, this is Alice Cease reporting.
Hi, I'm Jeff Sanzel, and I'm the Artistic Director of Port Jefferson's Theater 3, and we're currently rehearsing our upcoming production of Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird, which runs from April 4th to May 2nd.
Shh. Rehearsal's going on. Now, this is an adaptation of the classic novel by Harper Lee. Why don't we talk to the director and some of the actors?
I'm absolutely passionate about this story. I read it in high school and I still remember entire passages of it. I think it's an extraordinary story about growing up, about justice and truth in the American way.
The role I play is Scout, and I like her because she's curious and she's a little girl, and it's sort of like me, and I'm having a lot of fun.
What you do? Kill a Mockingbird is an interesting play because it deals with two worlds, the world of the children and the world of adults.
For more information, call 928-9100.
Thanks for supporting the arts.
We continue our mission to protect, care, and love. If we take the time to examine, we see the power comes from above. Sing it, children.
Do you like to garden? Then help our garden grow.
Little Flower Children's Services is looking for a few special people to be volunteers and foster parents. Call us at 516-929-6200.
Help plant the seeds.
Ever wonder what it would be like to grow up in the circus? HBO Entertainment News went backstage at the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus in New York to meet some of the people behind the greatest show on earth.
It's my life. It's in my blood.
The circus is a big experience for all of us.
It's a wonderful life. It's a very interesting life.
Currently touring around the country, Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus is celebrating a special anniversary.
Yeah, this is a new tour that we have. It's celebrating 200 years of circus in America, and we have like over 40 children that are under 16 years of age and that do extraordinary tricks and acts and just amazing things.
Mark Oliver Gable, son of circus legend Gunther Gable-Williams, grew up in the circus.
This is a very exciting life, the circus, especially when you're a kid. You travel I mean, from town to town, it's always exciting seeing something different, something new, and it's a lot of fun.
Today, Gable continues the family tradition in the center ring, where he stars in one of the most popular acts in the circus.
I've been working with elephants all my life, ever since I was born. I mean, practically I've been in the stable with the elephants. Definitely elephants are the hit of the show because of the size, definitely the size. And everyone has different personalities, different characters, and that's just what you have to deal with.
Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus continues its bicentennial celebration through America.